What's up YouTube? I'm back after a long break. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to get started with your Raspberry Pi Pico in PyCharm to start using PyCharm to code your MicroPython projects onto your Raspberry Pi Pico and start writing Python code. Now, the reason you might want to do this over Thani is because some people prefer other IDEs such as PyCharm, which is a really popular IDE that a lot of beginners use for Python programming. So if you are using PyCharm right now and you have a Raspberry Pi Pico, this may be the reason why you're watching this video, and you want to kickstart your project by simply writing code on that IDE and sending it to the Raspberry Pi Pico. So I'll be showing you how to do that quickly in this video. Enough being said, let's jump straight into it. Okay, so the first step is really simple. If you don't have PyCharm, it's really easy to get started. You can just go to their website, jetbrains.com/PyCharm, and click the download button. And you just want to download the community version. This is all you need for this video. So go ahead and download it and set it up locally. It is pretty straightforward and does take a couple minutes to download that and set it up. Step number 2, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is get the latest version of MicroPython for your Raspberry Pi Pico or Raspberry Pi Pico W. This is simple to do and it's free to do as well. You just want to go to micropython.org/download and you're just gonna find the device. I'm just gonna search for Pico here. I could see there's many Pico devices, and let's just go to Pico W because I'm using a Pico W. But if you're using a Pico, it would be the same thing. So let's go here and download the latest version of the nightly builds, which is 0511 as of the making of this video. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click that and download it. Okay, now that you have it downloaded, what you want to do next is you want to plug in your Raspberry Pi Pico or Pico W. And before you plug it in, you want to hold the boot cell button, which is the small button right here. It's the only button you can click on the Raspberry Pi Pico. And you want to do that as you're plugging it in because this will allow you to mount the device to port that UF2 file onto the Raspberry Pi Pico W. So I'm holding the button now and I am just plugging in with a USB-C, and we can see that after some time this RP1, RP2 file is going to show up on my desktop. And now that that's showing up on my desktop, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to that file I just downloaded in my okay, that's the wrong folder, in my downloads folder. And then I'm just going to drag it over. So let's see this. So this is the UF2 file over here. So let's go ahead and drag it over. And once we do that, it should take some time, a few moments here. Okay, give it a moment. And then that should disappear. Now once that disappears, you want to unplug and plug the Pico again. So now we have MicroPython on the Pico. You don't have to hold the boot cell button this time. Just unplug and plug there. And then we should be good to go in terms of the firmware on the device. Okay, so now that you have the environment, the PyCharm environment, and you have MicroPython set up on your device, the next thing you're gonna want to do is simply go to PyCharm and go to Preferences, and we want to download the MicroPython plugin, which will allow us to port the code over to our Raspberry Pi Pico. So let's just search MicroPython here. I already have it installed, so just go ahead and install that and restart your IDE, and you should be set up for all the plugins you need for MicroPython in PyCharm. So I'm just gonna click OK here because I already have everything set up and I am good to go. Now that I'm good to go in terms of the plugin, what I want to do now is I want to start a project in PyCharm. So you simply just want to go here and go to New Project. We're just going to click Create, that's fine, with the base project that they give us here. And let's just do a new window. Let's close the previous window we don't need that anymore. And then what we're going to do is we're simply going to go to the PyCharm here again. We're gonna go to Preferences, and then we want to go to Languages and Frameworks, and we see MicroPython here, and we just want to check Enable MicroPython Support. So this will allow us to enable MicroPython for the project, and I'm just going to select Raspberry Pi Pico, but if you have a Pico W, it's the same thing, you can just select Pico. And it's asking us for a device path, so if you are using a Mac, to get the device path, it's just in /dev/tty.star. So I'm just gonna go to my terminal here, and I'm just going to ls that and see the path. And I believe it's this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy that. And if you're not sure, what you can do is you can unplug the Raspberry Pi Pico, run the command again and see which one disappears, and then plug it back in and run the command again and see which one appears, and that should be the Raspberry Pi Pico device. And this simply represents a USB modem connected to your computer, and it's commonly used for serial communication with devices such as Arduino boards or other microcontrollers. If you are using a Windows machine, the device file representation of a USB or other serial devices is slightly different from a Mac OS. So instead of using the /dev/tty format, what it's going to use is it's going to use a COM port. So that might be COM9. You can find more information of the COM ports online for a Windows machine, but going into that is beyond the scope of this video. It is pretty simple to figure that out. So if you have any questions, let me know in the section down below and I'll try to help you with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this and put it back into the device path. And this detect doesn't work sometimes, so don't be alarmed if that doesn't work. This plugin isn't the most robust, so just keep that in mind. And I'm just going to click apply, and I'm just going to click OK. And so now that we have this IDE ready to go with the MicroPython plugin, we can actually start sending code to the Raspberry Pi Pico W. Now it's really easy to do that with this plugin. We just want to go ahead and right click this and run flash main.py. So run flash main.py sends this to the Raspberry Pi Pico to run on the device. So if I go ahead and run this, it's going to give me the screen here. So I'm just going to click run here, it's fine. And also we have some packages here that it wants to install for the environment. You can just go ahead and click that as well. And let's just click run. So let me run that. You could see it's uploading files and it's running the files. But some quirks about this IDE is it does not show you the log of what's going on the device. So if you do have some print statements, it's not going to show that. One example I'm going to show here is the blink LED on the Raspberry Pi Pico. So if we want to blink the LED, let's actually go, I have the code to blink LED on a previous project. So let's just go here and I'm just gonna go to a previous project I ran. So this is the main.py file. Let's just open this real quick. So this is a blink LED. So this will blink the LED on your Raspberry Pi Pico and show that the code is indeed being ported on to the Pico, because if it's not, you won't see a blinking LED. So I'm just going to copy that from my previous file and put it onto this main file, onto this project, and save it. Now I'm going to go ahead and run the flash main.py. So let's go ahead and run that. I'll show you the Pico on the screen. So if I go ahead and run this, it should start blinking every second there, which is as expected. So if you did everything right up to this point, you should be able to send this file and see that it is interpreting the code from your PyCharm IDE. Now, what's exactly going on when you run this flash.py? Well, it's sending the file to your device onto the storage and it's running it on that device. Now, if I have the file in another file that's not main.py, unfortunately, it can't run anything that's not the main.py file. So that is another drawback of using the PyCharm plugin. Actually, a pretty large drawback. Another big drawback of using the PyCharm plugin is that you cannot manage the files directly on your device, such as you can with Thani and the VS Code extension, which I have a video about. I'll link it right here. So this PyCharm plugin, as opposed to the other two alternatives, that is Thani and VS Code, in my opinion, is much inferior to them in terms of your development. While it is nice to have the PyCharm IDE capabilities with IntelliSense, I think it's a huge drawback that I can't directly modify the files on my Raspberry Pi Pico. I can only port files over and work with them in that sense. So it is a huge drawback, and it is something that a lot of people in the comments for this plugin are complaining about, so just keep that in mind. However, it could be useful if you are really used to PyCharm and you have a really simple main.py file that you simply want to port over to the Raspberry Pi Pico, because I mean, it's really simple to do, and if you have the environment ready to go, you can simply send it over. Now, the last thing I want to show is you can actually run REPL on the device. So if I go here and I go to MicroPython, you can actually start writing code here. So I could just say print hello, and this is running directly on the device, and it should show you exactly what you're doing in MicroPython. And you can write some simple scripts here, so this is pretty cool as well. Another advantage of using this IDE. Overall, I do not recommend using this if you want to get serious about coding on your Raspberry Pi Pico, but it is a nice way to kickstart if you're doing something simple on your Pico and you are using PyCharm in general. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you want to see in the comment section down below. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, guys, I know it can get a little messy messing with these other IDEs that aren't necessarily built with Thani, so please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be sure to do my best to answer them. And stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching.